What's going on, everybody? Eric S1Ep here from Swan Hockey with another episode of Swan Hockey Live. Today, we are joined by Andrew Serpico, the Assistant Director of United States Scouting for Neutral Zone. Andrew, what's going on?
How are you doing, man? That intro just fires me up every time.
Good.
I don't know what the song is. I don't know what the song is, but it just gets me going.
Me neither.
It's
Me
magical.
neither. Found it. I liked it, so I put it on.
Love it.
So good. I'm glad. Yeah, if you guys are new here, it's completely interactive. Feel free to join the conversation, ask your questions, post your comments. If you're watching from Instagram, we will not be able to see your comments, so head over to YouTube if you want to interact with the show. You can also interact through the podcast channel of the Swan Hockey Discord server. So check out the Discord if you're not in there already. Again, completely interactive in many ways. You could check out swanhockey.com, go to the Web2 side, and you'll see, click enter studio for the podcast. You'll see all the different ways it's interactive, not only communicating with the show, but through Scout Central, through the Performance Pass. So if you guys are new to this, you can claim reward points just simply by watching this live. We'll get to that in a little bit. But and then also we will be coming out with podcast. It's probably either going to be a T-shirt or a hoodie, but we're going to come out with a podcast merch item that's going to have our merch tag on it. And you will be able to scan that with your smartphones, and we'll be able to do cool different things, whether it's content or giveaways or other stuff like that has to do with the podcast. So actually, I'll pull one here. This is one of our merch items. You'll see this is the tag right here, merch tag. You'll scan that with the smartphone, and there will be an experience attached to it. So those will be out soon. So, let's get into it. Andrew, Neutral Zone, tell us about it.
Yeah, so we are an independent scouting company that evaluates, reports, and ranks players from 13 to 20. We span a majority of North America, covering pretty much mostly every junior league in the U.S. and Canada. We also cover U13 through U18, typically AAA. We're almost at every major event throughout the year. We have over 100 scouts. We're able to essentially track. The goal of Neutral Zone is essentially to track progress of players throughout their hockey journey with these reports. We start when they're at a younger age, and as they get older, you kind of see how they develop, with grades and star rankings and just, through their play. A decent amount of our subscribers are colleges, juniors, junior teams, and, even NHL teams. And, they're able to track progression through this as well, and kind of helps them make informed decisions, when they have those big things that they got coming up, like drafts and scholarships and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah. Awesome. So before we get more into that, tell everybody about you. How'd you get into this? Where were you before?
I played hockey all over the place. I grew up in Jersey. I live in Nashville now. My first job was actually with the New York Rangers. I was a hockey ops associate there, which you helped me magically get that job. I was on crutches going into the interview, and without you, there's no way I was making it there. I took a digger going up the stairs in the subway, and if you didn't catch me and pick me back up, I was going to be in a little bit of trouble. But I started as a hockey ops associate for the Rangers. Basically, what I did is I helped the director of scouting information. So essentially all the scouts of the Rangers would send me their reports and information on players, and I would kind of compile that into different documents. And when they had their, college free agents, NHL draft, free agency, things like that, I would put all the reports together for those guys for the war room. And so they had that information. I also did some other stuff like deliver checks to players like Henrik Lundqvist, and got to see that number. And it kind of hurt a little bit when I delivered that to him. But that was pretty cool. It was really exciting. It's something I never did before, because you play your whole life and you don't see the other side of it. And sometimes I try to watch major junior games when I was younger and try to give my input, but that didn't go very far or mean much. But it was fun and exciting. I absolutely loved it. I moved to Nashville. I worked for the Preds for a little while. And then I stumbled upon this Neutral Zone job. So I was on the, I think it was the American Hockey Coaches Association job board. You know what I'm talking about? I think I saw that. And, I was looking to get into it, hockey a little more. I was kind of away from it for a while. And I wanted to get into scouting. And I just saw that there was a video scout opportunity, and I didn't know much about it. So I just clicked it and applied, did the interview. I got incredibly lucky. So Ian Moran, who's our NHL scout, he played in the NHL for a while. He went on Chicklets about 2 weeks after my interview, And I guess after that, we had like 600 resumes come flying in.
Oh shit.
To do the video scout job. So I got incredibly lucky with my timing. I was super, super close. So if I was a little bit later, I probably wouldn't have got it. But yeah, that's kind of how I started. I started just doing video scouts and kind of worked my way up, and here we are now.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so one thing that you said, you guys your primary focus is, you said 13 to 18.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I know for a lot of people, they're going to be like 13, that's young. Right. So why don't you talk a little bit about the progression of, as you mentioned, already, what you guys are doing as the players are progressing, right? It's like you see a kid at 13, there's an opinion of him, but then how does that opinion change and just evolve over the years, right? Because I know that's going to be, because I know there's a lot of people that might say like, oh, 13, they assume like, oh, my kid's written off at 13. If he didn't have, he had a bad year at 13, he's written off. We got pigeonholed and this and that and bullshit. And, so like, talk a little bit about that. Like, so like, how do you guys go about, okay, so you see that 13-year-old, now what happens at 14, 15, 16 to form, as the player's evolving?
Yeah, I mean, 13 is kind of young, but it's basically just a starting point. We're not trying to say this kid's going to the NHL at 13 years old, or this kid's never going to make the USHL. He's not good enough. They're 13 years old. They're growing. They're developing. It's literally just a starting point so we can gauge where they're coming from as they get older. Because at 13, the pool, you have your high caliber players that aren't playing and may not be the best competition. As you get older, players are getting better and developing more. So those top players may take a step back, and those guys who you didn't see at first that were barely on your radar are going to start making that jump a little bit. You're not getting written off early on in any way, shape, or form. 13, 14, 15, even 15, we're just trying to gauge where you're at. I don't think people are making potential decisions to a high extent at those age levels, if that makes any sense.
Right. And then at what age, and like we talked about before, like what age does it start to not level out, but just so everyone, so now like if we put the shoe on the other foot, right? So people realize, okay, like we don't have to be up in arms at 13, 14. Now, at what age is it like, hey, you better have your shit figured out by this, or you should have everything, you should be serious. If you want to take a serious run at hockey, you should be serious by this age, right? Like what age do you see the biggest, involvement of players where it's kind of like, okay, we can kind of, these are the guys that typically they're going to keep on going now, and everybody else is kind of veering off a little bit, and there will still be guys from that veer off side that come back to the high end side. But by what, talk a little bit, like what age do you see the data start to kind of like get more consistent from, with each player, like, all right, this is the trajectory that it most likely appears this player's on?
Personally, I would probably say 16, 17 is when the road's going to start splitting between that taking serious of going towards, USHL, D1 or whatever. But like you said, even if the road splits and you're going in the opposite direction, there's plenty of cases where people going one way can jump going the other way. You're going to develop at different ages. Not everyone's the same, right? You could be fully developed at 14 years old and be dominating, and then you turn to U16 and you're just a whole new player that's an average, right? So, you might have guys that could be late bloomers. They could be 17 and getting cut from the NA or whatever.
Yeah.
And, they can still, come back the next year, they have a big summer, come back next year. They're bigger, stronger, faster. And then they could jump back over to the other page. But probably around 16, 17, I think is where that big jump is going to happen.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And the reason why I bring that up is just because I think players and families have to know, right? Like I say all the time, like you have to know how the game works if you want to be successful at it, right? If you want to win the game, you got to know the rules, right? It's very hard to win, to win the game without knowing what game you're playing. So it's like, it's one of those things like where I want people to know, like, hey, like if you do want to take a serious shot at this, like those 15, 16 years, 17 year, like it's crucial, right? Like it's not the end of the world, but it's crucial, right? To put it into perspective, right? Some people might, even at 16, some people would say, oh, players are pigeonholed at 16 and this and that. It's not that they're necessarily pigeonholed like bad reasons. It's just that, like, there's certain trajectories that players are on. And when you actually think about it, and this is what most players and parents don't realize, when you actually think about it, remember, the youngest guys in the NHL are 18.
Yeah. 16
is not really that young. Right. But a lot of people don't see it like that. And everybody kind of, I think it's just a lot of mentality of like, oh, like, later. You mentioned, some guys are late bloomers. And I think that's something very important for people to understand. And I'm pretty sure I heard this from Jeff Colson over at Junior Hockey Advisor. So I want to give credit there. But he said that being a late bloomer is not that's not a game plan, right? Like some people are late bloomers, sure. But being a late bloomer, it's not a game plan. That shouldn't be what you're striving for.
Yeah, you don't want to bank.
Right. It's like, that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of people are just kind of like, oh yeah, late bloomer, I'll be that. Like, I'm not gonna, I'm not doing everything I have to do now because I'm 16. I got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Right. When really you don't. The youngest guys in the NHL are 18.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on. But I mean, on top of that though, I kind of want to say, like, even if you're 15 years old, you're not playing one of these top teams in the country. If you're good, you're going to be found. If you're a good player, there's eyes everywhere. You'll be found. Yeah,
I think that there's so much, especially like with video, with the amount of video that's out there now and everything, and and that's something that a big talking point is, hey, if you're good, they'll find you, and I do believe that's very true, but to dive deeper into that, and here's what everybody has to realize: what I think a lot of people mess up is their definition of good, right? So if you're good, they'll find you, right? But what's good? Does that mean you're a top player? Then yeah, hey, you're probably going to move up, right? If your definition, and I'm not saying you, Andrew, I'm saying like to people, to any viewers out there, any players, families, like if your definition of good is, hey, I'm just as good as the fourth line guy they have now. Okay, well, it's a toss up. You might make it, you might not. Right. So like, I think that, the statement, which I do believe there's a ton of truth, if not all truth to that, of if you're good, they'll find you. But again, what's your definition of good? Right. That's what every player has to kind of come to realization is, what does good mean? So yeah. And then like, and again, like it's never too late. I mean, like there's guys that are like, we come back to late bloomer. Like there are guys that are, that are late bloomers or whatnot.
There's guys that make the NA at 19 years old, and then by 20 they're committing D1. Like it's not all the time, but it happens.
Well, there was a kid that I worked with years ago. He played his first year in DNA at 20. He was committed Division 1 2 months into the season, 3 months into the season.
There you go.
So I think it's but yeah. And just a reminder, anybody watching on Instagram, we will not be able to see your comments. If you want to comment and interact with the show, head on over to YouTube or to the live podcast channel of the Swan Hockey Discord server. While we're at it, I'm just gonna. So the performance pass code for tonight is scouting. So if you have performance pass after the episode's over, just go into your performance pass. The point unlock code is scouting. Tonight's episode is 500 points. But all right, yeah, and guys, let us know where you're watching from. Just throw up. You could throw up your team. You could throw up your city, state, yada yada yada, whatever you prefer, whatever you're comfortable with. Yeah. All right. So so touching on that, that's a lot of the youth side of the things. Let's head over to junior. We could come back to the youth, but let's head over to junior. Like in terms of the junior leagues that Neutral Zone is covering and what you guys are doing for them and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we have pretty much just one or two assigned scouts to pretty much every league, and then we have video guys that kind of pop in. Last year, I'm not doing any junior this year right now. I will be doing the NA showcase coming up, but that might be it for my junior on the year. Last year, I did a little Canadian junior. I did the AJ before it imploded.
Yeah, how'd that look after it imploded?
I only saw it before it imploded, so I'm not entirely sure. but I watched the SJ and the MJ a little bit after that. And then I think I did a little bit USPHL, but nothing too much. I'm kind of mainly in the youth in the US at this point.
Okay. All right. Hey, what's going on, Chris? We had a comment come in. Chris is watching from Springfield, Massachusetts.
What's going on?
Springfield picks U16. So, yeah, all right. So, like, from a scouting point of view, let's talk a little bit about the AJ, the MJ, SJ, NA. What do you see?
Well, from my memory, the AJ, when it had those top teams, was definitely a step above the SJ and the MJ. There's players in the SJ and the MJ that were dominant and could easily have played in the AJ with no questions asked, but those top teams were definitely something different. Brooks was on a different planet.
Yeah.
They just steamrolled everyone they played. I don't remember. I think they had like under 5 losses last year or something. It was something wild.
Yeah, they've been good for a while.
Yeah, but the pace of play in the AJ is a little quicker than the other 2 leagues that I saw. The talent's it's deeper. I think you have, your top 1 or 2 lines in the SJ or the MJ. They're very good players, and then after that, you kind of got it dips a little bit. In the AJ, I think it's a little more not stagnant, kind of leveled, I guess, from lines like 1 through 3, or Brooks obviously is a different story, but it's fast, it's strong, and that's a different breed of player up there for sure. If you're going to play in those leagues, and especially in what was the AJ, you had to be a very good player. But I think who made it to the Centennial Cup? Was it Steinbeck last year? Maybe Melford. I don't remember off the top of my head. But listen, there's very good players, and yeah. Kind of got on a side tangent there. I apologize.
No. It's good information. The reason why I ask is because, like, obviously, so my opinion on the whole thing is I think, BCH in terms of tier 2 junior A, BCHL is number 1, NA is number 2. And I think those 2 leagues have kind of separated themselves from the pack. And I think a lot of players, especially here in the United States, if they don't make the NA, I think there's so many people that are so misinformed about what leagues like the AJ, the MJ, the SJ have to offer, and a lot of the other Canadian junior A leagues, where they'll drop back down to, U18 or whatever, or even sometimes tier 3, because they're being told, hey, come play here. We're going to get you the NA, instead of going to, one of those Canadian junior A leagues, that will fall somewhere between, the NA and, youth or tier 3. And then, and some of those teams, I mean, they're every bit as good as a lot of, the NA team, the NA.
Oh, absolutely.
It's, and I think that, it's important for people to, I think so many people fall into that trap, especially this time of year. Like, that's why I think it's so important right now, because, there's a lot of guys that are, getting released from the NA right now, right? There's going to be more guys getting released after Blaine. Blane's coming up, the end of this month?
And end of September, yeah.
Yeah. So after Blaine, too, guys are going to be, there's going to be a big shakeup, too. And that's when I think that a lot of those guys need to realize, hey, there's very viable options somewhere else. Like, you don't have to go to youth. You don't have to go to tier 3. And, as far as I'm concerned with junior hockey, every player, their goal should be tier 1. Not tier 2. You shouldn't grow up being like, oh, I hope I could play tier 2 junior. No, the goal should be tier 1.
Yeah.
Right. USHL or major junior. Right. So by going to one of those other leagues, maybe you have a great year and you surpass the NA or the BCHL and you go tier 1 after having a great year in the MJ, the SJ, or the AJ, or one of those other leagues. Like, I see too many times where players, they hold themselves back trying to get to somewhere else, right? Just go play the highest level that you possibly can, where you're going to be an impact guy, right? Yep. Like, we're going to get a regular shift and you're going to have success.
Absolutely.
Right. I see too many guys are pulling back, trying to get somewhere where, no, just keep running 100 miles an hour forward. Don't listen to all the noise, all the, oh, we can get here, we can get there. No, just go do it. Go run 100 miles an hour forward.
Yeah.
And you wait, you wait for no one.
Absolutely. You got to essentially just take care of yourself, worry about yourself at that point.
And I mean, that's been my, because like those leagues get guys move on, guys go tier 1, guys get drafted to the NHL, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, guys get D1 deals.
Yeah, I remember watching it was the SJMJ showcase, and I'm sure I think probably like quarter half those guys are going to play Division I hockey. It's good. It's good. They're good leagues, absolutely.
They're good players. They're good players. They're good leagues,
yeah.
and that's the thing. I just think that there's a lot out there that a lot of people miss the boat on. And not for nothing, it's a hell of a lot cheaper, if not free.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to go play Tier 3 or play youth and shell out thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, hey, there's other options that are a lot cheaper or even free.
And they're great options. If they're an option for you, it's honestly a great option.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, like, even some of these teams that tell players like, oh no, come play here. Like, we're just as good as, like a Tier 3 team. Like, oh, we're just as good as Tier 2 in Canada. It's like, well, hold on. Like, I'll live in Looney Tune world for a second. Let's say it's the same. Why would I pay you all this money when I can go do it for cheaper or free? Right? Like, it's just, I don't know. But for some reason, so many people.
There's also got to be availability, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, but people miss it. Like,
yeah, it's definitely options. Definitely a great option. I can't speak for the rest of Canada. I honestly, I don't have a ton of information on that. I can just speak on the leagues that I've seen personally, but
no, there's great options everywhere. I mean, there's great options. It's just, you gotta, you just gotta know the options. Again, know the game you're playing if you're going to be successful in it, and it's I just wanted to mention that because, again, like as this podcast is going, it's kind of like following throughout the year. Like at the beginning of the summer, we were talking a lot about summer tryout camps and this and that. And, we had a lot of, good coaches on and stuff talking about what they're looking for. So the podcast is kind of like, following the season along. So that was again, right now, a lot of guys are getting released from the NA. And so I just thought that was important to touch on. The other thing I think is important to touch on, and we can get into, maybe, talk more about, the actual scouting aspect and everything. But the other thing that's important to touch on for the NA showcase, guys that are playing in the NA, right? I think that, again, keep running 100 miles an hour forward. You're in the NA, things worked out, great. That's just the start of it. It's not mission accomplished, right? You got one of the biggest showcases of the year in the game in general, I think, the Blaine Showcase coming up at the end of September. Just being an NA player is not going to cut it, right? Just playing it, like, you have to excel now. Keep running 100 miles an hour forward. The only teams there that are looking for any NA player are Tier 3 teams, hoping you get cut, right? Like, so now it's about, okay, how do I excel? How do I keep moving 100 miles an hour forward, excel? Now I'm trying to get the attention of, the Division 1, the Tier 1. But so with that said, let's talk a little bit about the actual scouting of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, just to touch on that one thing. There's making the team, there's sticking with the team, and then there's excelling with the team. I think those are three important steps for each individual player. Like, yeah, it's great. If you're on an NA roster, that's awesome. That's great. Like you said, just now it's time to turn it up, and now you want to stick with that team because there's going to be a lot of changes coming up. It's tough to stay on an NA roster. And then when you're there, to succeed, to do the best, you got to do what you're good at and do what you can to stick there because that's important. You want to be there all year, if not go up, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's again just so crucial for guys to know and understand this, and so let's talk about a little bit about the scouting of it from your perspective, right? So what you guys are doing is a little bit different than, team scouting or whatnot, because you guys are evaluating everything, right? You're not going into a building saying, all right, I need a left winger that could play a third line role. Let's see what's out here.
Yeah, no, I think, it's easier to a point because, like you said, we're not looking for just one specific player that does one specific thing. We're kind of calling it as we see it, and we're watching individual games and tournaments, and we're writing reports on what we see at that specific event. The NA showcase is a little different. We're gonna have a report on every single player that steps on the ice that weekend.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for sure, but we got a lot of guys we got a group of guys that'll be there. So kind of makes life easier. We bounce notes off each other. We're always in communication. So it kind of makes life easier. They're long days for sure, but they're definitely a lot of fun. But yeah, so we're not looking for a specific player. We're just kind of seeing who stands out for different reasons. Like I'm not trying to see who the best angler is. Like I'm gonna, if you're a guy who blocks shots and just mucks it up in the corners and goes to the net, like you'll probably get written up on just because of your effort, right? If it's just, it depends on how the player plays in that game. We just want to see guys do what they do in their natural world and not try to be anything different than they are, if that makes any sense at all. I just write, like I said, just kind of call it as I see it, and just writing and evaluating on what's in front of us, and not, we're not necessarily projecting at that point. We're just taking what we think are the most impactful guys of that specific tournament game or what have you.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting point, and it's, because like I said, it's a different scouting from a different point of view, like where you guys are, writing all these reports, and it's you're just gathering information on everybody, or on, more dependent on the event, on everybody. And then, as opposed to, and just, like you said, calling it as you see it.
I mean, that being said, like we talk to junior teams, colleges, and, I sometimes NHL teams, and they ask for information on players, or, we think this guy's this, what do you guys think? So we kind of have that in the back, but we're not, like I said, we're not specifically looking for a left shot D that can make a nice first pass.
Right. Will you guys write negative things or no? Like in terms of, like, if a kid, like, like if it's like, all right, kid got angry, broke his stick in half and left the ice, do you write that in there?
So we typically don't write too many negative things. Like, I mean, if there's an impactful player that's going to get an A in my report, and he does something of that nature, like I'll probably drop him down a letter grade, or not a letter grade, like a hat, like he'll drop down to like an A-, but I'll probably keep that to a minimum, if not myself. And then if kind of speak to another team, you might be like, hey, XYZ happened. But that being said, like what we typically like to do is put constructive criticism in points. Like if there's someone who, this guy needs to, isn't strong enough, right? Like I'll put like, once this guy hits the weight room and starts developing, he's going to be a more effective player. Once
to his game.
Once he starts adding his acceleration to his game, he's going to be effective with XYZ. So we kind of keep it constructive. We're not trying to break players down by any means. We're trying to, say what they're doing well, and then if we make an observation of something that they can do better, then we like to put it there. We're not trying to harm anybody's reputation or anything. Just kind of put something that will help them. We have parents too that subscribe to the website, and sometimes I've heard a story where we've had a player, so his dad subscribed to the website. One of our scouts wrote something about he needs to if he can work on his hands a little quicker, or get quicker hands in tight spaces, he's going to make him better at different things or whatever. And then the kid all summer just worked on his hands, and then he made like an NA team or something like that. And the kid was just very grateful for that knowledge, because he thought he was okay where he was.
Of course. Yeah. Like, because it's so important. I think that's one thing that a lot of coaches struggle with, giving kids constructive criticism, like, especially when they're cutting kids, right? Like every kid gets, it's like, oh, hey, listen, great job. It was a numbers thing.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The numbers thing is you only have 25 guys on the team, or whatever it is for whatever league. And this kid's not one of the 25. Like, that's the numbers thing. Like, and especially at summer camps, it's, oh, we wanted somebody 2 inches taller. We wanted somebody 2 inches shorter. Oh, we want somebody 20 pounds heavier, 20 pounds lighter, 2 years older, 2 years younger. Right. Every coach has a different way of letting a kid down, easily. And, but I think it's so important to give the constructive criticism, because you have to give that kid a starting point. Again, it's hard to win the game when you don't know the rules that you're playing by. Right. So you have to give the kid the starting point. Okay, you're here. You want to get there. Here's what you have to do.
Yep.
Right. If the kid is, 5 steps behind, and you're telling him, hey, you're right there. No, it gives the kid a warped perception of,
it's not helping,
reality. It's not, it's not reality. Like, it gives them a warped perception. And now the kid is going to different teams, calling up, oh, I'm right there. And then the tier 3 team, the kid's not right there. Now a tier 3 team wants to play. Now he's going, hey, I'm right there. I want to play for free. Like, and then, what are you talking about? Like, it just, it messes everything up.
Yeah.
And, so like, no, like I love that you guys are doing that, because I think it's so important. You got to give the kids a starting point.
Yeah, I mean, even guys that I give A's to, I don't give out A's very often, but I'll even try to put something in there, like maybe their defensive game wasn't very strong, and maybe they could support a little more and focus a little more on the defensive side of the puck without losing their offense. Just something little, just something little every time. I mean, I'm not going to put it in every single report. Sometimes, like, you don't need to.
Yeah.
But I try to put that in a good bit of when I write.
Yeah, no, I think it's so important. And then, like, and again, like, like people can see the report, like, so neutral zone. So players and parents and coach, like, so people can subscribe.
Yeah.
Right?
There's different subscription levels. I don't know the ins and outs of that. I think it's like $30 a month or $200 for the year, for the access to the site and the reports.
Yeah. And guys, like, anybody, so, as you know, on this show, one of the interactive pieces is we always, a lot of times we connect everybody with the team that's on via the Scout Central player tag system, right? We'll give the team a tag. Now, we don't have a tag for Andrew, right? So we're not tagging you with Andrew, but in terms of your Scout Central, if you guys have your neutral zone subscription, add your reports to your Scout Central profile, right? Yeah. Upload them. So that's how this is going to tie in for this episode. It's not going to be a player tag with Andrew. It's add your reports. If you guys have your reports, add them. If you don't have them, maybe consider getting them. Add them. It's, I know we're talking about, 2 subscriptions here and everything, but, it's pennies for what a lot of you guys are spending in this game. There's not much in this game that you could do for these prices. So just, again, just wanted that's how this is connected for this episode. We're not going to, like I said, we're not going to give Andrew a player tag. But that's how this is connected. But, so back to the actual scouting, and then, so how many, do you want to talk a little bit about any of the leagues that you guys are, anything that you guys are working more hand in hand in?
Yeah. So we're kind of working with the USHL a little bit. We do live shows a good bit with drafts and things like that. Just every time a player pops up, we have such, we got such knowledgeable people that, when a player's name popped up, they know XYZ right out of the gates. Right. So it's fun to really do those shows with the USHL. I think, we had 3 of our guys, Ian, Murph, and Brendan, do the last one for the USHL. We kind of help with their central scouting. We kind of put lists together for those guys, because we're seeing so many guys. We have, like I said, over 100 scouts. But me personally, it's not even a month into the season, and I personally have written over 500 reports, and that's it's just going to keep growing and growing. So we have such knowledge, and we're kind of all over the place. We're at games in every tournament, so we're seeing these guys multiple times a year. So I think we're a great resource, and to kind of work with them, they help us, we help them, and I think it's a great tandem. We're also, we do a lot with the NA. We're at every important show, every showcase. So yeah, that's kind of where we are right now.
Yeah, no, that's that's great. I mean, how many times would you say on average you guys are seeing the same kid? From 13 to 18, like, how many reports would a kid usually get?
I mean, it depends, essentially. So I think for, let's say, the 15-year-old's a big year, right? For the USHL. So those top teams, we're probably going to see the same team 10, 11 times. We're going to have a report on them anytime, but we're going to see them a lot. We have, video. I kind of branch out and see other teams that we might only see once or twice a year. So it's really going to depend on each player of where they are, essentially. But so I cover the Southeast. There's not a ton of hockey in the Southeast since I'm based in Nashville, but I'm also doing New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So, we have like the AYHL and some other leagues where those teams aren't getting seen. They're not going to these major tournaments. They're not getting seen as much. So my job is I get to go in there. I'm in the rinks and on video, and I'm kind of helping watch these guys. And my goal is to see every team in my region at least twice before Christmas. and then we'll come out with rankings for each age group, and then again I'll try to see them twice again after Christmas just to see how they're developing. So that's my goal. It doesn't happen every year because it's difficult.
Yeah.
There's so many teams and players, and it's a lot. But it depends on the player of how many times we're going to see them throughout the year.
Right. But, yeah. So it sounds like it goes back to what I've always told people, like the importance of playing for a winning team.
Yeah,
right?
It's tough though.
It is, especially like with the way youth hockey is going. I mean, like I was talking to somebody earlier on this summer, and we said like some of these top youth programs, it's like the same mentality as the NHL now in terms of the scouting. Like it's like the same as junior. It's cutthroat. It's about the winning, right? I had a coach flat out tell me, it was top team, and I was talking to him about a U16 player, and he just told me flat out, he's like, Eric, if he comes here and he's not like good, he's gonna sit, and I'm not giving him money back. That was like my first conversation with the coach, and it sounded hard, but he was honest with me, right? What else could I ask for? Like, he gave it to me straight. That's all I could have asked for. Like,
that's important.
And it's just basically like, look, like he kind of told me, like, look, like I have somebody to answer to. Like I have a boss, I have an owner that's expecting
those top end teams
me to do a certain job, and this is the way it is.
They're expecting to go to nationals, and they're expecting to win.
Yeah,
those top teams.
And I think it's kind of crazy, I guess, but like it's the whole youth hockey world, I think, is just going like it's kind of crazy, because it's and like one thing like you and I have talked about, like I really like the more like I've gotten into this and everything, like the more like and like as I've gotten older and smarter, and like I kind of really like the way Minnesota does things from what I know about Minnesota.
Absolutely. Yeah, their AA hockey is better than a AAA hockey.
Like
not many people play AAA there.
Like kids are staying home, playing for high school, living home, having normal lives, spending time with their family, their friends, their girlfriends. They're not getting up and moving halfway across the country and paying $50,000 to play for an academy and this and that. Like they have a lot of normalcy, which I think is really big, like outside of hockey. Like, and look, like the building and everything, like it's a tremendous experience, right? So like it is a great experience moving away and having that, it is a whole different experience. Like I don't want to like say that it's not good or anything, but like I think there's something to be said with the amount of players that Minnesota can produce and the normalcy in their lives.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be surprised. I heard a couple stories of some families moving across town just so their kid can play for a different high school. So it definitely does happen. It definitely does.
It's like Mighty Ducks District 5 or whatever.
Yeah,
Adam Banks.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, and then I kind of heard some stories. But you're 1,000% right. They definitely they're cooking it right up there. That's for sure.
I mean that's just my opinion. Like I said, like nothing like I'm not saying that like youth hockey and academies and stuff are bad. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like there's something to be said, I think, for like I think sometimes too much of anything is not good.
Yeah.
Right? Taking anything to an extreme is not good.
Yep.
Right? And that's kind of like one like so if you're again like hockey is no different than anything else in life. I say it the whole time. I say it all the time. It's like if you're going to the extreme with youth hockey, like again, not good. Too much of anything is not good, But and I just always find that fascinating, like what Minnesota's able, like the players are able to produce, and it's just like
they stay home.
A lot of normalcy, and they're probably paying a fraction of the price.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I mean, I've watched the Minnesota high school tournament a couple times, and like the top 6 on each of those teams, they're all going to the NA and the USHL the second their season's over.
Yeah,
like they're good. They have a ton of good players playing at those high schools.
Minnesota. Oh, there's like kids that like won't go to the USHL. Like they're playing high school hockey in Minnesota,
exactly.
And they're that good that they like tell the USHL team like, oh yeah, I'll come after our season's over. Whatever. Like,
1,000%.
Like they're that good that they'll just.
I remember the first game I watched. Alex Bump was drafted by the Flyers. and I think I forget, I'm blanking on the team he played for. They won 5-4. He had 5 goals, scores the overtime game winner, celebrates, goes nuts, like has an unbelievable experience at the Excel Center.
Yeah.
He's from Minnesota. Like it was wild, absolutely wild.
Playing in front of 20,000 people, whatever.
Yep. As a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Definitely an unbelievable experience.
Yeah.
I don't know if he made the all-hair team, but
the all-hair team. We could have made the all-hair team.
Absolutely. I don't know what they're missing.
Yeah, mine's gone. Yeah. Yours is still flowing. Mine's gone.
Yeah, a little bit. I gotta, cut it every once in a while. Try to be professional, but still condition it every couple of days.
What did you say?
Still got to condition it every couple of days.
Every couple of days. Yeah. I got to the point where I was washing mine like twice a week. But sometimes once if I can get away with it. Back when it was long. That was a pain in the ass to take care of that. That was a pain in the ass.
No, I couldn't imagine. It's tough maintaining this for me.
Oh, I had to dry it all the time.
Yeah.
It was a pain in the ass.
I used to, I don't know if it was Chris Letang. It was on it wasn't like a Hard Knocks for the Penguins like 10 years ago. And it was probably more 15 years ago, whatever it was. And he was telling the camera like how he washed his hair 2-3 times a week max. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah. I remember you told me about that. That's why I stopped washing mine.
Yeah. I used to wash it like every night. And then like Chris Letang told me not to. Well, didn't tell me, but he told the world not to. And it was directed to me. Like, this is genius.
Yeah, must work.
He's got great hair. He's got great feet. He's got everything.
Yeah.
I'll wash my hair 3 times a week.
Yeah. Oh, it's so much easier. Yeah, it's so much easier. Yeah, I'm back like every other day now.
Congrats. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. What was that other video with the FaceTime? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, it's Matt Green went back to North Dakota, and he was teaching so the kid who was doing the interview ended up playing for the Leafs, I think it was. But he was just going back to the locker room, just talking about FaceTime and, crushing water and sweating at a rampant pace, just teaching them all the ins and outs. The groin stretch before games. He's like,
to find the cameras.
This does
just
nothing.
Pretend like you're stretching, find the cameras.
Yeah. I remember the one thing: if your helmet falls off, you gotta dry mop. Nobody wants to see that. He called the kid animal. He goes, your helmet pops off and you're ripping back to the bench. You don't grab your helmet. The chicks out in the up in the stands, they're like, look at animal. There's a crazy lunatic out there.
Sprinting back to the bench.
Yeah. Oh man, that was electric.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a funny video. I remember that. Yeah. There's something else. Oh, I wanted to ask you too, and then we'll get to something else because I think we have a challenge for you.
Okay.
But so with your, covering different, is there any, from your time at Neutral Zone, is there any area specifically that you see as like, okay, like this area is picking up with hockey in the United States?
This is going to sound biased completely, but New Jersey.
Okay.
I think New Jersey has exploded. The Rockets are kind of, turning it up. I just think that everything there's more players from New Jersey going USHL, NA, D1, even the NHL. Like when we were younger, there was one. It was James Van Riemsdyk, Jimmy Dowd.
Yeah,
like that's what it was. Is just those guys, and now I think you see a lot more New Jersey guys on D1 rosters and NHL teams. And also another bias thing is Florida. I think Florida has.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, Florida's definitely improved a ton. They got a lot of skill guys. I was at Nationals last year for the 13s and 14s. And so the Florida Alliance, like they just had top to bottom, like they just have so much individual skill. They're really good players. And I don't know how they're doing it because there's not a ton of ice down there. But their individual skill for those guys, they're just athletes. And yeah, I think they're coming up. They're always in the top 15 in the country for most of their teams.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a specific part of Florida. I don't know these kids personally, but yeah, Florida and New Jersey, both biased non-biased, but biased choices. Sounds biased, but yeah, I think those are probably the two biggest spots right now from the last couple years.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, even New Jersey, I think I mean, like you just look at what was it? It was the year that the Titans won the NA. I think we were talking about, I had, Craig Dramus was on the podcast a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
and that year the Titans won the NA, the Hitmen won the EJ, or not the EJ, the NCDC. The Rockets won the USPHL Premier, and the New Jersey 87s won the EHL. Like New Jersey won like every junior league there was. Like they didn't win USHL because there is no USHL team in New Jersey, and I don't know who won the EHLP. They may not have won the EHLP, or I don't know about the USPHL Elite, like the two bottom levels.
Yep.
But like I said, the NA, the NCDC, the Premier, the EHL, all New Jersey.
Even the Rockets and the Avalanche they're contending for a national championship every single year with almost every single one of their youth teams. I've been going to nationals the last 4 years, and they've been there and contending every single time I've been there. Yeah, they're just churning out players.
Yeah, New Jersey's just and then Florida. Like I was going to ask you about that because obviously I coached in Florida a long time ago in USPHL. I had Kyle Secor on last week. He played for the team. He's coaching in the NA3 now for the Maine Nordiques.
Okay.
So Kyle was on last week, and you remember, like, even when I moved in down there in Florida, we were in the rink, and I think it was AG came up to us. He's like, you got to see this kid. He's going into his Bantam year. He's ridiculous. He's going to get drafted. It was Jack Hughes, right? Like,
but hold on a second. Before we even get on the ice, he was talking this kid up like he was going to the show and he's the next Wayne Gretzky. And then it's like it was me and like a couple other T3 guys. Carpenter was there. He's playing the NHL for a little while. Like we had a good group of guys. And then this like 12-year-old kid comes on the ice, and AG's like, "Yeah, this kid's skating with you." We're like, "Okay." He was nasty, and it turned out it was Jack Hughes. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like this 12-year-old kid was just skating circles around us. It was wild. Obviously, he is where he is now and makes total sense. But I think he's from like Orlando, maybe originally. I don't know. I know their family kind of moved around a little bit, but Michigan, Orlando, Toronto.
And then he went up, and then he played like 5 years in Ontario before going to NTDP.
Yeah, I don't know how
that. He played his hockey growing up, like a good amount, I believe, in like the.
They played for I think he played for Caesars too. Yeah.
Did he?
I think so, or maybe it was Luke. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, and I think Jack played a lot, like a good amount of years prior to NTDP in Ontario, and he actually played one game in the OJ playoff game.
Did he really?
Georgetown Raiders.
Do you know how that went?
From what I remember, no. I mean, he had to be super, super young because this is all before he went to the NTDP.
Oh, okay. Well, it seemed to work out for him.
Seems like it's coming all right.
Yeah. I mean, if he wants to thank me for that one time we skated in Daytona together, that's fine.
No, I remember that. All right, so I think we have a challenge.
Okay.
So RC head coach, GM, program director for Westchester Wolves.
Okay.
And the NCDC Premier 18s, 16s. So you remember him, right? Like I've told you about him. He coached Richmond Generals forever.
Yep.
So RC told me that he can't be beat at NHL video games. I told him I think I have a guy.
I mean, he hasn't met me yet.
I know. No, I told him that.
I don't think so.
I told him that.
All right. In full disclosure, the past 2 years, having a kid kind of just ruined my NHL and my video game playing a little bit. We're starting to get back into it. But
I know you need mono again.
So in 2009, I had mono, pneumonia, bronchitis, a staph infection. Like I was laid up for a month and a half, 2 months, and then I couldn't play hockey, right? I couldn't go practice or do anything. I just stayed home, and that entire time, all I did was play NHL. I think I was like 60th in the world at one point. I was like 153 or something. And then I remember one time, you remember Smith decided to go onto my account. You could challenge the players above you. So he's challenging every single person. And the number 4 ranked guy accepted it. And I ended up beating him in overtime, and I went absolutely berserk. But yeah, there's no shot. He's not I don't lose.
I know.
I can't remember the last time I lost. Probably 09.
I told him I think I have a guy. If he'll do it, will you play him on here? I'll make that an episode.
I don't think he wants to smoke. with all due respect,
he recruited a kid on video game one time.
Great.
Call of Duty. His like captain came out to him or whatever. Was like, oh, you got to play this game. There's a kid that loves it. He's going to be one of our best players next year if you can get him.
Oh my!
He was playing Call of Duty.
He's playing Call of Duty with the kid.
And it was like him, the captain, and the recruit. They got the headsets on, I guess, and like the three of them just sat there and played, I guess, for a couple hours, and kid signed.
I'm terrible at Call of Duty, so I would like to stay away from that type of challenge. But if he wants any of this in NHL, I mean, he can come get it.
I'll tell him. I'll tell him he has a challenge. Will you do it? Will you do it live on Thursday night?
Absolutely.
Like not this upcoming Thursday night, most likely, but just a Thursday night.
Absolutely. He doesn't listen. I'm nasty. Okay. I don't remember the last time I played a game and actually lost against somebody.
Oh.
Like it started getting boring playing on Superstar.
This is gonna be good.
Yeah.
This is gonna be good.
I don't want to go that far.
You know who's not good at NHL?
My brother.
Yep. Your oldest brother, Pat. Not good.
No. I used to have to take it easy on him because I was afraid.
We're gonna have to make this one of the highlights for Instagram. Inside the live.
Me, you, and him would just sit in the back room and just play NHL for hours, and like, I don't know why we had nothing else going on at the time. And it was. I would just start dumping pucks.
Yeah,
running a 1-4, running a 1-4-4 check just so we can get out of the zone.
I remember I was playing against him one time. He was so mad. And he was already mad. I'm beating him. And we would always play with the rules off.
Oh,
so I check his goalie, just put in the empty net. And they do the replay. And the commentator's like, I was the Flyers. They're like, oh, Philadelphia's snipers are hard at work. And they show his goalie in the corner spinning like a bowling pin. Oh, he's so mad.
He was not happy after. When he won, though, he would let you know he won.
Oh, yeah.
And he would absolutely feed you his lunch. But when he lost, man, it was so mad. It was tough. It was absolutely tough. Remember, we used to play NHL driving up to Chowder Cup every single year. We'd have the small screen in the truck, and me, you, and Matt would just play NHL 06. And we would always have to be the Leafs because Matt refused to be anybody else. If he did not have Hal Gill, he couldn't play, right? And and we would always we played Detroit because remember it was a glitch game. Whenever you couldn't beat Detroit.
Yeah, you couldn't beat Detroit.
That was a disaster. But for some reason, I don't know how Matt had this power. He would only be Hal Gill. Whenever he wound up to take a slap shot, he would just scream Hal Gill's name. And I remember on the scoreboard, it would show the miles per hour.
Yeah.
Anytime you shoot the puck, it would very rarely pop up. But when he yelled his name, it'd be like 110 mile an hour slap shot. And he was nasty with Hal Gill. Hal Gill was like a 76 overall and could barely move in the game. But when Matt had the Hal Gill boom cheddar, it was untouchable.
I know. I remember that. And then you played golf with him, right?
Yeah, I played golf with Hal. I told him that situation. He thought I was hysterical because he knew he wasn't that great in the game, but he had a hammer of a shot, and he thought I was hysterical.
I love it. Well, yeah.
RC stands no chance. It doesn't. I don't know how to do gambling odds. I'm not the best with gambling odds, but I'm definitely the favorite out of the gates.
We're gonna have to set it up.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to set it up. We're gonna have to agree on rules.
Oh, absolutely. I think NHL 25 comes out in I don't know, a couple weeks.
Maybe we wait for that.
Doesn't matter to me. I'm nasty regardless.
This will be so great.
You pick the year. It doesn't even have to be NHL 24-25. You want to go me like NHL 13. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't even know. I don't know if we have systems to even do that. But
just thinking, I got the wheels spinning here.
What do you got?
I don't know. Maybe we pick somebody to play you, and if they could beat you, they get a free something, as long as you don't start costing me money.
I think you'll be fine. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to keep up with me.
Yeah, I don't know. We might have a couple challengers.
Listen, I'm all in. I'm gonna, I started getting the wheels. We got an elongated nap time at this point with the little guy, so I have a little couple extra minutes to get some games in the middle of the day, and then he goes to bed early. So the whole schedule changes when he gets to a certain age. So now I got some nights free when I'm not working and doing scout and stuff.
And just mashing buttons.
Just mashing buttons. I had smooth fingers. I don't know what it was, but like you'd never hear the controller. Like when you and PJ would play, you just hear the grinding away. It's all about smooth and finesse.
And for anybody listening, that's like, okay, like yeah, cool. Like you don't understand. It's frustrating playing against Andrew. Like frustrating because like you'll do something and it doesn't work, and he'll come down and like just like goes through your guy, like literally through him.
Well, my controller had the morph button.
Like the game's broken or something.
Yeah.
It's just really, really aggravating.
Wouldn't PJ just yell cheat codes every time I did something?
Yeah. And it's like that, and then every game there's just like a span of 10 minutes where just everything goes in.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter where it's shot from. Like it doesn't matter what goal you haven't. Like it's really, really aggravating.
Yeah. I had a span where I was just. I don't think I lost ever. We tried a full 60-minute game we got like 10 minutes in. It was like 13. I think it was like 20. It's like 20-3 or something. And we're like, yeah, we're done with this. And then we experimented a lot with no rules, and we just do dirty jerseys, just dive it at the net.
Yeah.
That would get frustrating.
I remember when we played a full 60-minute stop time game.
That was terrible. Terrible idea.
Yeah.
Like we had nothing better to do that day than pull which just obviously took at least 2 hours.
Yeah, that was like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Or something. But yeah, no, just.
Yeah, well, listen, RC, I'm ready.
I'll have to maybe, I don't know, I'll have to text him, or I'll just put it on Instagram and tag him in it probably.
And smoke signal me when you're ready.
So I'll.
I don't even need a warm-up game.
I got to go back. So RC was on episode 2 of this podcast. I got to go back. Because he may, like I said, I think he may have challenged you.
Great.
So I'll have to go back and try to pull the video. And then, but I know I told him on the phone. So I talked to him like, I don't know, I talked to him like late at night one time. It was like 10 o'clock. And he's like, just playing video games. I'm like, oh, what are you playing? He's like, oh, NHL. What? He's like, I'm nasty. I can't be beat. I'm like, hold on. I think I got a guy.
Yeah. It'll be a gentleman's duel, but I will come out on top.
Yeah, we'll have to agree on rules. And
rules, skill level.
Yeah,
all that
game speed. That's huge.
Yeah.
Game speed. There's some people that can only play fast, like or they can only play slow.
Yeah,
I've met people like that were like really, really good, but like you change the game speed, like they're terrible.
Yeah, no, it makes a huge difference. Absolutely. Did you ever play Salkin in NHL?
No.
You want to talk?
Oh, actually, I had to. I don't know. I don't remember, but there's like no way I didn't.
The frustration. You talk about frustration when I played. Like I get it. And he would very, rarely beat me when we played, but he would just control the puck in the offensive zone and cycle. And like in 3-on-3 hockey these days, you just exit the zone if you don't have a play. We're on 5-on-5. If he doesn't have it, he just comes out, goes back. He'll hold the puck for half a period, but like he wouldn't score. And then I just take the puck and go up and bury right out of the gates. But it was so frustrating because he just held the puck forever.
Yeah, that's yeah. And I had a plan. There's no way I didn't.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it's all right. Yeah, guys, we're over an hour. If anybody has any last minute questions,
yeah, sorry, we kind of took up that with NHL talk.
Games,
we didn't
or
even
if it's
ask.
About video games, let them know.
Yeah, we didn't even ask for questions. I apologize.
But no, if anybody has any questions, not everyone could throw up questions at any time. But
okay.
But yeah, if anybody has any last minute questions, throw them up now because we're gonna call it here. We're over an hour already. But yeah, just throw up your last minute questions. If anybody has some, I'll give the Discord a check real quick on the phone. And remember, guys, go grab your performance pass points if you have performance pass. If you're not on performance pass, there we go.
Nice.
Performance pass. If you're not on performance pass, go check it out. It's a free rewards beta. It's, aimed towards, trying to give more to everybody for things you're already doing, like watching this podcast, so go check it out. And, there's 500 points up there for tonight's episode. The unlock code is scouting. So go claim your points. And, we have more rewards coming into Performance Pass soon, and the first reward will be going out hopefully within the next week. And guys, like, I know if you check out Performance Pass and you're confused by it at all, because it is utilizing the blockchain and it's part of our new Swan Hockey digital Web3 experience, you can go on to swanhockey.com, go to the Web2 side, you'll click on Web2. That's normal internet like everybody's used to, and you will see a tab at the top called Swan Hockey Digital. You will see a lot of FAQ and how-to and information walking you guys through all that stuff. Continue to check back, because that stuff will continue to update. Again, I know the Web3 is foreign language to most people right now, so that's why we're walking everybody through it with how to make it. You've heard me mention wallets a lot, digital wallets, and I know connecting your wallet to the IO site, to swanhockey.io. I know a lot of people probably thinking like, oh, connect my wallet to a hockey site. Oh yeah, all right, good idea. Like, it's not your wallet with your American Express in it. It's not the wallet like on your phone. A digital wallet is like MetaMask or Coinbase. They're completely free to set up. You'll just download them from the App Store on your phone. It takes like 5 minutes to set up. The biggest thing is just wallet safety. You'll have a 12-word secret recovery phrase. Don't ever share that with anybody. Don't take a picture of it. Don't take a screenshot of it. Write it down multiple times. Keep it somewhere safe. Don't ever share that with anybody. Swan Hockey will never ask for that. Nobody should ever ask you for that. Don't connect your wallets to, random unfamiliar sites. Just wallet safety is the biggest thing. But it'll take you guys like 5 minutes to set up a wallet. And then, the reason why you have to connect your wallet to swanhockey.io, just explain this to everybody. So the reason why you have to connect your wallet is basically like you signing into the site, right? So you're not logging in really with an email and a password. You're signing into the site with your wallet. And the whole point of us utilizing the blockchain is to give ownership and authenticity, right? You guys own, for the Hockey Swans Club, you guys own your Hockey Swans. The Hockey Swans are your token into your club. It's your membership into the club. You guys own that, right? Swan Hockey doesn't own it. You guys own it, right? So, and because you guys own it, you guys hold it. Swan Hockey doesn't hold it. You hold it. You hold it in your digital wallet. That's why, the site needs to be able to look into you're connecting your wallet to the site, because we need to be able to look into your wallet to confirm that you hold the appropriate token to enter the site and to enter, and to access what you're trying to access. So just to give a little clarity to everybody on that, that's what's going on there. And same thing with the rewards program, right? So the rewards program, when you guys claim a reward through Performance Pass, that reward will get airdropped to your wallet. And again, you own your reward. We don't, Swan Hockey does not own it. You guys own your reward. That's why, some rewards will be collectible, some will be redeemable. And that's why the rewards that you own, you'll connect your wallet to the swanhockey.io site, and you could redeem your rewards there. And again, you own the rewards. So if you have a reward and you don't want it, you can sell it to somebody else and you name your price. It's yours, right? So a lot of the things that we're doing here with the blockchain, it's really cool. It's really different. It's, the two, authenticity and ownership are probably the two biggest words that you guys can remember with doing this. It's really cool technology that we could do a lot of things, and this is just the beginning of it. So would love to have you guys get involved with that. And that technology, the blockchain technology, we're also utilizing that in the merch tags. I showed you that before. We're going to be coming out with a podcast, like I said, either a t-shirt or hoodie or some type of podcast merch, and it's going to have our merch tag on it. So if you weren't here in the beginning of the show, this is one of our shirts. This is a merch tag. So this is on the bottom right-hand corner of this particular shirt that I have. So this merch tag, you'll scan it with your phone, and we're able to, you're going to get an experience after you scan it. So you scan it, an experience will pop up on your phone. There's other things we could do, like we could do giveaways. We could, again, put more content on it. We're most likely going to be attaching NFTs to the merchandise. So you'll be able to claim, it's probably going to be a digital twin of the item. And again, you'll get points for performance pass from the merch tags, but there's a lot that, there's a lot that we can do with the content piece of it as well. So again, like we're going to have this podcast merch coming out that, the experience off the merch tag, off the podcast merch items it'll be based off of the podcast. So it's another element of how we can interact with the show. So let's say, we have a team on here and, that team, they're on for the episode. We can do something where maybe we do a virtual tour to their locker room and we put it on the shirt. So after the episode, you guys will scan your podcast merchandise and then you'll get that experience on your phone of that, locker room tour or whatever we decide to put on it. So it's just a whole nother way of interacting with the show that's going to make this show unlike anything else you guys have ever been a part of. And again, this is just the beginning. And and rant.
Well, so I kind of want to jump in there and just promote you a little bit with those FAQs, because me and this technology was kind of something that's well over my head. But you just check those out. And Eric's taught me a whole bunch on what he's trying to do and how he's doing it. And, this was a science to me that I still don't fully understand, but that's definitely helped me learn a little bit more on how he operates with this. And, he's a big help with doing this. And I think it's pretty cool what you're trying to get done here.
Well, I appreciate it. And yeah, the FAQs, like guys, those will continue to update. And so just keep checking, join the Discord. But yeah, the FAQs will be on the Web2 site, something that everybody's familiar with. So you'll be able to check them there. Again, they're going to continue to update. And, my advice to you guys is just step by step, create a wallet. If you need help with it, just reach out, but create a wallet, connect it to swanhockey.io and link your email. That's really all you guys have to do right now. And then, and you can get involved with Performance Pass if you want, but yeah, so that's a show, guys. Andrew, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me. I had a blast. Looking forward to RC getting dusted. With all due respect, definitely going to be chirping my game a little bit.
What is that?
Said I'm definitely going to be chirping up my game a little bit.
Yeah, go get some reps in.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. This was fantastic. A lot of fun. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. For doing this, and then anybody that wants to check out NeutralZone, what's NeutralZone's website?
Just neutralzone.com. You can go there on the website. You can, pick your type of subscription. You can go on there, see. We do have a lot of free articles out there also. They're kind of differentiate each time. But, in order to see those reports, you have to subscribe in your own way. So.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks again for doing this. Everybody, I will see you guys next Thursday. Everybody have a great week. Everybody have a good night. All right. Good night, everybody. Good night, Andrew.
Good night. See ya.
See you guys.